shit together. We're rolling.
Choo. All right, I'm ready.
All right.
Let's go. It's time. Put on play pants.
Episode 55. Episode 55. For those keeping track at home, it's episode 55 of the Play Pants podcast. Rod Ryan, Jason Ginty. You can follow us on our social media sites. We've got the Instagram. We've also got the Facebook. We've got the Twitter at Play Pants Pod. You can view. Yeah, if you wanted to, you could watch this on the YouTubes. Okay, that's what my mom calls it. I watched it on the YouTubes the other night. It was great. You guys are kind of funny. It's funny, Rod, I don't know if you know this, but my mom will watch these episodes. She doesn't watch all of them, but she'll watch a lot of them. And that kind of freaks me out now because I've said some really dumb shit.
Well,
and,
I know that I knew she was listening because the last time I saw her at your surprise party, at your birthday party,
right?
She pulled me aside, and this is how I know that your mom was listening to our stupid podcast. She goes, if you really want that lamp, we can talk about it. But I think Todd wants it. But we can talk about it. And I'm like, you heard us talk about your lamp and all the other dumb shit that's been said on this thing. She goes, oh yeah, I listened. I think you guys are really fun. Like, so, what?
Yeah, right. Well, at least we got one listener. I know that for a fact. So you can follow us on YouTube, smash that subscribe button. And it was interesting. I was talking to my mom over the weekend, for Father's Day, call up dad and say, hey, what's up? And all that stuff. So talking to mom for a little bit. And she brought up and it's so weird because, back in the day when I first started in radio and we both kind of started at the same time. I don't think my parents kind of got the whole thing. I think they knew I was struggling and working hard to get to a certain point on the radio, but I don't think they understood everything that went with it. I think now there's more understanding. I think this podcast has actually helped to have my mom understand the whole situation with the radio. And because we were talking last episode about how I got lucky and I got those Foo Fighters tickets for the big show out in LA for the Taylor Hawkins tribute.
Right.
He starts talking to me like it's me and you. She's like, oh, yeah, man, can't believe you got those tickets to the Foo Fighters. I mean, who's going to be there? Who do you think is going to play and perform and get up? And I'm talking about Dave Grohl and Taylor Hawkins with my mom. And I'm like, I don't know if she could pick out a Foo Fighters song, but it was really like she was so into it. And it was really kind of cool. I'm like, holy shit, are we talking about the Foo Fighters right now? This never happens. We'll talk about Elvis. We'll talk about the Beatles and we'll talk about Rod Stewart. But she was all like, oh, you're going to go out there? Like, I know you got that fourth ticket. Who are you going to take? And I'm like, well, that's a whole thing now. So I don't want to get into that and all this shit. So anyway.
I'm calling your mom, by the way. I'm going to put in a good word for me with your mom. Maybe your mom could campaign for me or something.
Yeah, that's not going to happen. So I did want to, I just thought it was crazy, man. I'm like having this great conversation. I'm like, this is so bizarre, man. So.
Well, hi, Mama Ginty, that you're listening. I'm sure she's listening to 55. What's up, Ma? Hope you're doing good. And I still have my heart set on that duck lamp. So, it was some kind of a bird of the sea.
Pelican lamp. It's a pelican lamp.
Oh, yeah, pelican lamp. There you go.
Let's not be in a big hurry for that lamp, Rod, because if you're getting the lamp, that's going to mean that there's no parents left for me. So,
that's a little morbid. She brought it up, dude. She brought it up,
that, dude. Yeah. So anyway,
my mom, as plugged in as my mom is, and it's like as she's unbelievably with it. It's crazy. I don't think she gets what a podcast is. She knows that we do it. She's like, you still talk to that dipshit? I'm like, yeah. She didn't quite say it like that, but my mom does have a way with words. And she's like, you two dummies are still talking like that, doing stuff. I go, yeah. And she doesn't really question what a podcast is because I don't think she wants to know.
No.
But she knows that we do it. I think my sister might check these out. It's weird. My sister listens to the show in the morning. With the iHeart app and, with online being what it is, it's so weird. Every now and then Sue will just kind of say something about the show. And I won't say it because I don't want to, not that she'd be embarrassed because she listens. But I just make it seem like, oh yeah, no shit. You must listen to me. Your brother's on the radio. But I'm always caught off guard when she says something that was said on the radio. And I want to say every time, you listen, but I don't. I don't know why. I don't want to put her on the spot.
Right.
I act like, oh, yeah, of course you listen. And of course we said that on the radio. No big deal. But it's weird thinking about her in Buffalo, on the line at GM, engines rolling by, and she's listening to the show live, which is really, really bizarre.
But the technology being what it is, but the apps, all the radio stations got their apps, and you can listen on your computer and all that stuff. I think it's great because, being a radio fan and nerd, I'll punch up stations all over the country now just to hear, 10 minutes. I'm not gonna listen for very long usually, unless it's really interesting, but just to hear how they're doing the thing, how
everybody's syndicated. I mean, everybody is syndicated now. And what I mean by that is, I think most people would know, like Howard Stern. He was on all these radio stations, but to hear Howard Stern back in the day, you had to be in a city, right, in a market that was carrying Howard Stern. So he was syndicated. He was based out of New York. I know this is complete mansplaining. But like for me, myself, like the Rod Ryan show has never been syndicated. We did a dual cast. I did like some bullshit thing where I was going back to New Orleans and Houston. I was doing it like at the same time, and I was cutting separate breaks for New Orleans, and we were doing some kind of magical in the early stages of like what they call voice tracking now. But my show has never been syndicated, and I used to really push for it. It was something that I felt like I needed to do. I felt like it was the next step in my career. It's like, okay, the show's doing well. It's like, okay, let's push this shit out there. Let's get the show on a bunch of radio stations, just thinking that, I'm better than I really am. And it just didn't happen. I only pushed for it for a short while. And then there was a convention. It was very early on in my career. And do you remember the Gavin convention?
Oh yeah.
It was like a radio convention. Gavin it was an industry magazine that we would get. And it just, had radio station stuff and artist stuff and new releases. And it was just something that all radio stations got, and they had their own convention. And I want to say that I was at the Gold Mine in New Orleans. And to me, one of the best morning shows of all time, was out in Los Angeles on K-Rock, and they just recently came off the air. Kevin and Bean. Yeah. And Kevin Ryder, which I hope to see him someday. And I think he's back on the air in Los Angeles, maybe doing a show in the afternoon. He was standing at the bar, and I shot my shot. I'm like, holy shit, that's Kevin from Kevin and Bean. Like, these guys were huge in LA, like Howard Stern couldn't touch them. Even though Stern was on another station in LA, he couldn't come close to these guys. And I went up and I talked to him, and he was so nice to me. And I had just started in radio, doing mornings, and I had a bunch of questions for him, and he answered everything, and he was so cool. And then I asked him, I go, dude, you guys are so great. I knew about them. And I said, why aren't you syndicated? I couldn't understand, like, why isn't Kevin and Bean all over the place? And he just said, really calm. I mean, he was so fucking cool. Like, when somebody comes up to me and asks me, I'm like, I'm a dope. He was just so cool. Like, oh, people come up to me and ask me questions all the time. I'm a cool LA guy.
Right.
He said, we make our station pay us to not be syndicated. The money that we would make being on all these other radio stations, we told our station, K-Rock, we'll just talk about the radio station, and our stuff will be exclusive to you, but you're going to have to pay us more money. And I said, wow, that's pretty cool. And he told me that at a bar, me just kind of, rolling up on them, because those guys, I can't even imagine what kind of money they made back in the day. I mean, they were just the kings of Los Angeles, which is the second biggest radio market. And I kind of use that. Moving forward, I pushed for syndication for a little while, and then I was like, okay, for whatever reason, I wasn't good enough, whatever it was. I just said, okay, well, here's the deal then. I'm going to charge you guys more money. I'm not worried about being syndicated. And I was being serious too. It wasn't a threat or anything. I just said, but you're going to pay me. So I'm going to be your guy, but I'll talk Astros and I'll talk everything. Cause when you become syndicated, you got to water down your show so that Kansas City likes it. And you can't just sit around and talk about your hometown football team, because the guys over in Cleveland aren't going to they're not going to care. So you got to really do a watered down version. And I said, you'll get nothing watered down. I'll be totally station centric. I'll talk about all the things that the station is doing, and I'll be a Houston guy. But you're going to pay me more money, and I don't want to be syndicated. And I took that and I stole that from Kevin.
Brilliant. It's brilliant because, and I think you and I have talked about it over the years. It's like, the second you go on another city, doesn't matter what city it is, that waters down your local content for the station you're in. So that sucks all that cool out. And there's other shows out there that are syndicated that only have like 3 breaks in an hour where they're on. And so those breaks, they're more generic. But then the other breaks they do, they send it just locally. You know what I mean? And then they talk about their local market of LA or Houston. And it's like, it just doesn't feel right. And look, I'm always going to be a pro, like get everybody on the air, get everybody local. In this day and age, it just doesn't work that way anymore. There's not enough money out there. You can't do it that way though. So the voices you're hearing on a lot of stations that are on 15, 20 other markets.
Yeah. I don't think it's really that big a secret anymore. I mean, the whole voice tracking thing, and people send their voices out. You could be standing in Houston and you could be sending your voice out to 4 and 5 different 10 and 15 radio stations. People will be driving around and like, hey, I heard such and such in this market. Did they move? I'm like, no, they're here, but they're on over there too. So the thing about being local is, if we're doing like a local promotion, if we're doing, let's just say the pre-Labor Day Pride Bikini contest, I could just sit around and talk about that on the air and just build it up. And it wouldn't work if I was talking about something that I was doing in my one city. If I was, nobody in the other cities would give a shit about what I was talking about.
No.
That's what I went to I don't know why we started talking about this. Cause I said, everybody's syndicated now. No, because because you're on the internet, you're syndicated now. Meaning you can be heard in other markets. You can be heard all over the world, Well,
it's like this podcast, dude. We talk New Orleans and Houston here and there, but it's really, this is just very generic. We talk about, all kinds of dumb shit. Like today, we're going to talk about, it's summertime just happened. The first day of summer was just, yesterday? Although it's been summer in Houston and New Orleans for the last 6 months, it feels like it's 120 degrees outside. It's brutal hot. So I thought we'd run down our top 5 favorite summer movies, and I threw a little wrench into the works of saying maybe it's not a summertime centric movie, but it's a movie that you probably saw as a kid in the summertime, and it just kind of reminds you of summertime, So we'll run down those in a minute, but I wanted to talk briefly about the new Elvis movie. You've seen the trailer, I'm sure, right? This kid is playing Elvis, and I've heard, and it's not out yet. It's coming out very, very soon. But the first time I saw the trailer, I went, holy shit, this looks fucking awesome. But then I saw a couple of other trailers for the Elvis movie. And then my wife saw it. She's like, oh, that looks terrible. I went, what? And I'm like, am I liking the idea of this movie because it's another biopic and I'm a music nerd and the music's going to be great in the movie? Or is this movie going to be good? You know what I mean?
So I only know one person that has seen it. He gets into movies early. He's more of a Batman guy. Bill Ramey, shout out. Batman on Film is his website. He went to go see it. He said it's awesome.
Really?
He said it's awesome. Now, I don't know. I don't know anything about this kid, Austin Butler. But if he isn't the most handsome kid going, he is oozing with star quality. This kid, he's going to be, I don't know, Brad Pitt or whatever. This is going to set this kid off. So as we are sitting here going, well, did you know his name?
I'd have to look it up.
Right. Austin Butler.
Yeah.
He will be a household name is what I'm saying. Right. I don't know him either, but have you seen this kid? Holy shit. If you're going to have to make out with a dude, he'd be the one. He'd be the one.
I guess I'd have a couple on that list, but anyway, let's not talk about that. No, but imagine the balls it takes. Like, I'm going to do the Elvis movie. Like for Baz Luhrmann, the guy who directed it, in Tom Hanks playing Colonel Parker.
Yeah.
To even begin to think about attacking the Elvis, Queen. Okay, we get it. That wasn't easy. Yeah, that's a hard one. Elvis is Elvis.
Elvis is next level. Elvis is next level.
You can't screw this up. You can't. You cannot screw this up. This has to be awesome. or not.
Yeah,
even
you kind of get you get one shot at it. You hope that the right guy is doing it, because I imagine there's a handful of directors that wanted to do it. And I mean, this Baz Luhrmann guy, I know he makes a certain kind of movie. I know he's got a certain style. I mean, he's done Moulin Rouge, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to think of some of the other things that he's done, but you hope that, number one, that he's a big enough fan that he respects everything, that he wants to do it right. He just doesn't want to do some weird, like, this is my take on it. It's like, fuck you. We know everything about Elvis. You're going to have to bring us something. You're going to have to dig up something. You're going to have to get to his family, and the family stamped, everybody signed off on it. The thing about it is that the estate is down with it. So you're going to get all the Elvis music. You're going to get behind the scenes. You're going to find out good stuff. They have to have some stuff in there that we haven't heard before from Elvis. And if they take some liberties, that's fine. It's not a documentary. It's a movie. Right. So, I go back and forth with a guy that I work with, Skinner, in promotions. He gets so upset about the Queen movie. It's like, well, they did Fat Bottom Girls, but they showed him playing it in that club, and he was already using that style microphone there, and they weren't really broken up, and that wasn't their last show. They were never broken up before Live Aid. And I said, well, my mom doesn't know that, and she thought that movie was amazing. So yeah, it's not a documentary, JFK. We talk about that all the time. Not a documentary. It's Oliver Stone. Okay. That's his movie and what he thinks happened.
Right. Baz Luhrmann, he did William Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet, the one with Leo DiCaprio back in 96.
Okay. Didn't see it. I know about it.
A lot of style. He's got a lot of interesting style. He does Moulin Rouge. He did Australia. He did The Great Gatsby with DiCaprio as well in 2013. Very stylized, very cool. Okay. So
guess what? This just in. Never seen a fucking Baz Luhrmann film. I know the guy's name. Great Gatsby. I love Leo. There was just nothing about it. I don't know. I'm not connecting to Gatsby for some reason. I'm sure Leo's great in it.
But he's got Baz Luhrmann. Now I'm thinking about it. He's just got the colors are very, very vibrant in his movies, and the editing is very cool. So I'm hoping this is badass. I really am hoping. I just wanted to see what you thought about the potential. This has got a huge potential to be a piece of shit. But Priscilla Presley, Elvis's real wife back in the day, she said the kid did great. The kid, Austin Butler, the kissable face kid, she said he did great. So if she's signing off on it, good Lord, man, I would hope it's going to be great. That's like we've talked before. When do you go to a theater to see a movie? You know what? This is when I'd go to a theater. I know I've said superhero movies, Top Gun. This one, because of the music, I want to fucking have my ears blown out. I want to go to the Dolby. I want to hear Elvis cranked. You know what I mean? And is this gonna be the resurgence for the 10th time of Elvis shit again?
I think it is going to bring, because this kid, again, I'm really focusing on this Austin Butler. It's kind of like what Leonardo DiCaprio, how he became every girl's dream boat guy after Titanic. Right. If girls find out about this kid, then they'll go just to see him. And you got to think that's got to have something to do with the casting. I mean, I know Baz Luhrmann, Harry Styles wanted this gig. All right. Yeah. That's the other dude. That's the other dude I'd probably make out with.
This is really
and Baz Luhrmann said that Harry is kind of already iconic and people wouldn't be able to get past it. I think Harry's going to be an actor. He's going to be one of those guys that does that. And I know he's done some acting. He was in Dunkirk. He was in some other things. But you needed a guy who, like you and I, don't know.
Right.
And I do think that this is going to set this guy on a trajectory where he's just going to become super A-list, more so than what the guy that, Rami Malek, he won Best Actor. There are so many people. You don't have to go far on the internet to go look to see what is the worst Best Actor winner of all time. He's on a couple of lists like that. Okay.
Really?
Yeah, he is. I don't know if it was just a shitty year for movies. I thought he was great, but then was he Best Actor great? I don't know. Maybe. Yeah, I guess he was that year. This kid is, I know Rami Malek he went to A-list after that. And he was probably in some Bond movies and stuff like that.
Mhm.
This kid is way beyond that. He becomes Brad Pitt.
All right. We'll have to see. I can't wait to go see the new Elvis flick. That looks like one that God, I hope it's good. I just hope it's freaking awesome. I hope it's great. And then I'll go out and get I'd probably have an Elvis bedazzled suit somewhere in my attic, so it'll become cool to wear out again, right? Is that how that works? Can I wear that out? Come on, dude. Come on. So we're going to talk about this whole top 5 summer movies in a minute. And it got me thinking about summertime, right? And we've talked summer on the podcast, previous episodes.
In summertime.
But I started thinking about it because, my kid now, has got a little gap between camps and shit. So he's just kind of doing nothing, which is what we've talked about before, about how we didn't do shit all summer every year when school was out.
Yeah.
He's in that world right now. And I'm kind of like just watching him, like, what's he doing? Well, he's playing a lot of video games because now there's a lot of video games. So he's playing video games during the day. Plus, it's hot as shit out. But his buddies all get back from camp at like 2 or 3 in the afternoon. And then he disappears and he's gone until like 8 or 9 at night. And I'm like, I really don't give a shit what he's doing because I think it's fucking awesome that he's out just outside fucking swimming and doing dumb
How
shit.
far is he allowed to stray?
Oh, not very far at all. No, he's not allowed to go very far at all. He's a couple houses down, and that's kind of the world he lives in, right? He's not going far.
Okay. I mean, you're not leaving the street type of deal. You're not.
No.
Okay.
But it's cool.
But so I had hard rules. No leaving the street. Well, fuck that. As soon as I got a bicycle, guess who left the street? I mean, as soon as I got that bicycle, I'm like, okay, Mom, I won't leave the street. Well, guess what? You couldn't wait to leave the street as soon as you got a bicycle.
Right.
We had train tracks by our house. Okay, don't go by the train tracks. What was cooler than hanging out at the train tracks? Nothing. So do you think he's venturing out a little bit?
Yeah, he doesn't have, there's nothing like really venture. I mean, he could go, we let him, if he asks, hey, can I
got a bayou near you?
Yeah. No, they're in the water all the time. They're chasing alligators and shit. I mean, it's wild, so they're fishing and the one buddy's got a pool and all that stuff. So he's not really adventurous, as far as I know, to go taking off too far. He's just not that kind of guy yet. He's just like, yeah, they're just happy just throwing rocks at each other and doing dumb shit.
How old is he?
Almost 14.
Okay.
Almost 14. So
it's
coming.
I was adventurous at 14.
So it got me thinking. I'm like, okay, wait a minute.
But at 15,
See,
I'm hanging out with the big kids, and I drove to Ohio to get fireworks around this time. Okay. At 15 years old. Okay. At 16, you got your learner's permit in New York State.
Right.
And I don't want to get into that, but I didn't get my learner's permit at 16. But at 15, they thought it was funny. And they let me drive. Dude, I drove to Ohio to get fireworks.
Jesus Christ. Oh, my
God. A year older than Hank.
Wow. That doesn't scare me at all. Well, he's pretty, I don't think he can reach the pedals still. He's kind of a short little guy, man. But, dude, you remember lawn darts?
Yeah.
You guys have lawn darts?
I think lawn darts and lawn jarts. I think that's interchangeable, right?
Yeah,
jarts.
I think it was called
darts.
Yeah. We used to play that. And this is so politically incorrect, but I'm going to say it anyway because it's fucking awful.
Oh, no.
Dude, you'd get around and you had the guys in the neighborhood, right? Hanging out in your front yard, backyard, whatever. And you're bored as fuck. You're just bored. And someone's got a football, right? So then somebody, and you always had like an odd number. You had like 4, you had 3, you had 5, maybe.
I had a different name for that game. I had a different name for that game. I didn't do that name that you're possibly going to say.
I'm not going to say it because
we called it Funny Fumble.
Funny Fumble is what the cool kids called it, but somebody else called it smear, and it rhymes with that other word for, not being a tough guy. Yeah, that's what it was. Smear. It was terrible.
We just called it Funny Fumble.
That's what we mostly called it. But there's always a couple of kids that would say the other thing. And I'm like, dude.
Yeah, that was never even like a secondary, tertiary name. It was always just Funny Fumble with us. Later on in life, when we were talking about this, then people said, oh yeah, did you play that? And I said, but we didn't call it that.
Funny Fumble. And it was always like one of the older kids in the neighborhood would find the doughy, smaller kid and go, hey, go out for a pass. Boom. All right. Funny Fumble, or the other thing. And then you just go hammer that kid because you didn't have enough guys for an actual game. So you were tackling the shit out of each other. And that's when a guy like me, skinny little guy, you learn to get real fast and evasive. Otherwise, the big guys would murder you. And you'd play it for hours until somebody else showed up and saw you playing football. Like, hey, could I play? Boom, now we got a game. And then you started out the game.
We were crazy organized, man. Growing up, number one, on a dead end street was amazing. And the kids there was just a ton of them. There was a lot of kids, all within, 10 years. I mean, every kid was represented in about 8-10 years age group. So there was all kinds of kids, my age, a little bit younger, a little bit older. And we were insanely organized during the summer, meaning we'd go out and, okay, we're going to play hockey today. Okay, well, we're going to play football today. There was no email. There was no texting. There was no nothing. It's amazing how organized we were without having like the modern tools that we had. Right. You would go and knock on doors and say, hey man, come on. We need another person for football, and it's like, I don't want to come out. Come on, let's go. We need one more person. And then, they would just come outside, but you would start a game in my street and then people would just show up, and they would and it was never like, hey, you can't play. You knew if you were at the level of everyone, then you could play, Yep. I mean, my sister had a hockey stick her whole life growing up when she was a little kid. My sister had a hockey stick. Everybody in my family had a hockey stick. Yeah. Just to play hockey in the driveway and to bounce it off the garage door. My sister had a stick. Everyone had one. But mostly the boys would get together and we would play, and we played stickball. We played kickball. We played kick the can. Did you play kick the can?
No, man. We never got into that. It was always kickball or football or hockey. Those were the big threes.
I don't know if I remember everything about kick the can, but it was a paint can and you had to guard home base and you'd have to kind of like somehow get to that home base and you had to try to kick the can without getting tagged or something. Oh, yeah. And it's like, I kicked the can. And then then you would switch. I don't remember exactly how kick the can worked. But I can tell you when I was your kid's age, hands down, because 4th of July is 2 weeks away. At this point, I would have probably 4 or 5. Now, listen, my parents didn't know this, but I'd have it behind the garage. Nobody went back there. At this moment, I would have 4 or 5 tennis balls soaking in gasoline. Okay. to get them good and soaked. Okay. And then leading up to 4th of July, we'd kick those fuckers down the street, man. We just like, hey, dude, go get one of those tennis balls. And we'd light it and we would kick it up and down the street until it's like somebody yelled at us.
Oh yeah, it would stay on fire for a while because the fuzz on the ball's still burning, right?
You'd let them soak for a week. They probably got all the gasoline they could handle in 10 minutes, but we thought, let's soak them for 2 weeks, man. Yeah. Let's just soak them. We'd put them in the fields. And yeah, we'd be soaking tennis balls right now, getting ready. And then right about now, you'd be asking your dad to save you some beer cans because again, we're 2 weeks out from 4th of July. So Dad, I need like 6 Budweiser cans. Can you help me out? Well, what do you need them for? We're just doing a thing. Okay. So back then cans were really, think back to the movie Jaws when Quint crushes that can.
They were hard.
You had to really, Quint had to have some really real like grip strength to crush that can because then Richard Dreyfuss, funny, he crushes like the styrofoam cup.
Right.
It's not a big deal to crush a can now, and you couldn't make this, but we called them Polish cannons. Did you guys call them that?
Potato guns.
Potato guns, Polish cannons. Okay.
Same idea. Because you just put the cans together, right? That's what you're getting at.
So you would take the beer can and you would cut out the top and the bottom so that it was just a cylinder. And then you would stack about 6 of them together and you would electrical tape them. So now you got this long tube, right? It's a long tube of beer cans. And it was always cool, whatever your old man drank, somebody always had a Jenny Cream Ale one because that was a local beer. Mine was always a Budweiser one because that's what my dad drank. Yeah. And the last can, you would keep the tab off where your dad drank out of it. You didn't cut that bottom. You didn't cut the top either. On the bottom of the can, you just took a nail and you put a hole in it. So now you got 7 cans. And you take lighter fluid and you pour it inside there and you spin it. You put it on the ground, put your foot on it, and then light a match and put it in that little hole in the end, the nail hole. Oh. And then whoosh, we would shoot tennis balls out of those things too. But was it a similar construction, what you did?
Yeah, it would be the cans, or I had a neighbor one time. He just had a piece of like PVC, and he'd
that seemed to be much later on, like PVC pipe and stuff. I've just, I mean, it was one of the more rednecky things I did at my friend's house here in Texas. But yeah, he had a potato gun. I mean, a real I'm talking a super launcher.
They fired for miles. That thing would take off, and you're like, holy shit, that went way farther than I thought it was going to go.
Yeah, these Polish cannons, though, man. You could hear them all over the place. It seemed like every kid had one.
Oh, yeah. No, and fireworks back then, it was like, they were hard to get. Like, you had to drive to Ohio at 15 to get your fireworks. Mine just appeared. There was always like a couple of kids in the neighborhood who just had like the firecrackers, the one-lighters where you lit it and bam, and you just try to blow anything you could find up. That's all you do is try to blow shit up.
I remember my uncle giving us M80s when we were kids. And my mom said, okay, these are pretty serious. I'm going to do these. And my mom's standing on the porch. I'm telling you, I am serious as a heart attack. My mom is standing on the front porch, lighting M80s in her hand and throwing them.
Gee.
Boom. M80s, dude, not firecrackers, M80s. M80s and cherry bombs. My mom would be lighting these and throwing them in the yard.
That's awesome. Yeah, but fuck ice cream, right? Yeah, you got fireworks, but hell with ice cream, you can't go to the movies.
You know what? My mom was oddly cool about fireworks, man. She was kind of into it. Never really questioned where the stuff came from. I always had a paper route, so I always had my own money. So that wasn't ever really a question. I never had to borrow money. And the stuff just kind of showed up, like there was just fireworks. Dude, when I say I drove to Ohio, that was a 5-hour drive to the factory. And 4-hour drive there. We left early in the morning, told my mom I was going fishing all day because the river was right there by our house. It's a 4-hour drive, fireworks, 4-hour drive back. Jeez. I had been to Ohio and back as a 15-year-old coming back with fireworks. And, oh yeah, by the way, I drove. And this is all on a Saturday afternoon in the summer.
Oh my God, dude. But you know what? It's okay, man. It was the early 80s or whatever, right? What's a big deal? You just drove to Ohio at 15. No big deal.
They had the good works in Ohio, though. You had to go. Yeah, it was about 4-hour drive.
Because they were legal in New York, weren't they?
Illegal in New York.
Yeah,
yes.
You couldn't buy them.
Yes, you couldn't. I mean, you could, there was always a guy,
we had those guys all over the neighborhood. See, I was never the guy that was involved. I was the guy standing around watching the guys who had that shit. I never got involved in buying that stuff. I sure didn't drive to Ohio for it.
Yeah, I was all about it. And then one time and one time only. This is when I'm young, because I'm with my buddy who moved away. Dude, 7th grade. I don't know. Shoot me an age. 7th, 8th grade.
14, 15.
Something. Okay. Hank again. I'm Hank's age. And I talked my dad into and again, I have money. Okay. I have a paper route. So I've got steady income coming in. And 4th of July was huge for me. I would save up forever. I mean, what kind of expenses do you have when you're, 13 and 14 years old? You don't. So you're just saving up for fireworks. And my dad took my friend and I over to Canada. Oh. And Canada kind of had fireworks. They didn't have like boom stuff. They had Roman candles and fountains. I'm talking just over the border in Niagara Falls, Canada. You could get more than you could get in the US. Well, my dad drives us over there and we buy a bunch of stuff and my dad puts it in the trunk.
Oh, no.
He puts it in the trunk and he puts it in these bags and then he grabs some old clothes and he puts it on top of it. So he knows what he's doing. He knows he's smuggling fireworks for his 14-year-old kid. Okay. I know, weird. I mean, I did not have cool parents. For some reason, they were both kind of cool with fireworks.
Jesus.
We get pulled over. So for those of you that have never been across the border before, just think about like Tijuana or any movie that you've ever seen. Canada is kind of a version of that. You go to the border and they say, okay, you're coming back to New York, and they stop you and they're jerks. They're mean. They're not personable. There's no jokey time at all.
Ooh.
And they say, how long were you in Canada for? And, my dad said a couple of hours. What was your business? My dad said sightseeing. Then they'll say, what did you purchase? And my dad said nothing.
Oh, shit.
And then they said, pull over.
There it is.
There's a dad and two 14-year-olds. These guys look like they're probably buying fucking fireworks.
Ooh.
So they open up the trunk and they saw the bag. It had dirty clothes on top of it. They didn't go any further.
Oh.
My dad was so fucking mad. He said, never again. He goes, don't you ever fucking ask me to go across the bridge again and get fireworks. He was so pissed off at me, but we still got him. I mean, we had him. It just, that never happened again. It happened exactly one time. My dad was so, he was mad at me. Right. He put up no resistance. I mean, I probably begged him a couple of times to go. He probably didn't say yeah right out of the gate. Right. But I begged him, I'm sure. So he finally caves. We go over there and he was so mad at me. Do you understand what kind of trouble I could have been in? I'm like, no, I don't. I'm 14. Can I have my fireworks, dude?
Give a shit.
Can you get done yelling at me? Can I get my fireworks, please? How long are you going to be yelling at me for? I want to blow off some fireworks.
I mean, at the end of the day, he's kind of the adult. He could have just said no. I mean,
he could have just taken those fireworks. He could have thrown them in the river. He could have thrown them over Niagara Falls, and he gave them to me. He was pissed. Never did it again, though. Yeah, that was the one and only time he ever did it.
Because that going over the border, that's a different. Even though it feels like it's not that big a deal, it's serious business. It's serious business. When you go into Canada, they're just like, "Hello, hey, what's up?" It's when you come back and the people on the United States are like, "Fuck you, I'm ripping apart your car, bro." There's no goofing around.
We've talked about my van and what it looked like, and there's pictures and other discussions that we've had on this website. But my '77 Dodge van, all carpeted, that fucking thing looked like the drug van on any episode of Chips back in the day. Like there were bad hombres, okay, driving around my van on the show Chips. So of course you're going to pull my van over, and they tore that whole thing apart. They didn't have to put anything back. They tore it apart. They ripped everything apart. You think they because I had a bed in there. You think they made the bed after they were done looking in my van? No, of course
not. Their job. That's not their job.
Yeah, it was tough. We had to get working papers and everything because the band used to play over there all the time. You had to have a list of every single guitar pedal, drumsticks, every cymbal. You had to have a list of everything. Yeah. And then I don't know. They just didn't want you going over there. Canada didn't want you over there. They're like, listen, you're taking money from a Canadian band, right. So they would give you a hard time. Even though it happened all the time, bands went back and forth. That was the thinking, like you were taking money out of a Canadian's hand. So we're not going to be nice to you coming over here. Yeah, and you would get held up and you'd be fucking late for your gig because you were stuck at the border. Jesus Christ. They're going through your shit, making phone calls, and they're calling the club. Are you sure this band's, they're working, blah, blah, blah. It's like, we told you all this.
And now look what you got to do to go across the border. It's insane. It's absolutely insane. We used to cruise. I mean, I can't tell you how many times 19 years old, because the drinking age was 19 in Canada. I'd blow through that thing. No big deal. I was going to the movie theater so many times. I got lucky. I never got sweated down ever. And I should have a billion different times. I got lucky.
I'm going over the bridge, 18, barfing my fucking balls off in the backseat of my buddy's car. I mean, you can't go anywhere. Once you're in line, you're staying in line. Okay. You can't just Rod's throwing up, let's pull over. You can't. It's wall-to-wall car. So it's like you're stuck and you just got to keep moving forward. And our buddy Tom Morris, he's driving and he goes, grab that fucking grocery bag and put it around his fucking ears like a feed bag. He's making a mess in my car. Jesus. I had plastic handles of a shopping bag over my ears, and it's like a feed bag, and I'm just sitting and barfing in it as we're going over, as I'm coming back to New York State. And they're like, what's up with your friend back there? And it's like, oh yeah, well, he's got a little flu.
A flu. Like those guys didn't know what was going on.
18-year-old kids, it smells like a brewery in our car. And it's like, yeah, he's got the flu. The times were different back then.
But dude, I years ago, I surprised my dad for his 50th birthday party. This was, quite a few years ago. And I flew up to Buffalo and I called all his buddies that he would either worked with or hung out with or whatever. And they all showed up. I showed up at his house. My brother showed up at the house, where I grew up. And then all his buddies showed up. And then I had a limo set, ready to go. It's like 8:00 at night, right? So at the time, I'm 25, 26, maybe. And
how many times do you think your dad's been in a limo before that?
0, maybe once. Maybe once. This was a big deal. This was a huge deal. Yeah. And all his buddies were there. He's like, 8:00 at night, old dad's going to bed. Like he's starting to watch TV. He's got his slippers on. I go, get your shit together, get dressed. And all his buddies start showing up. And he's like, what's going on, guys? What are you doing here? And they all showed up at different times and it was all like staged, And, oh, hey, what's up? And I said, hey, go put on that decent shirt and some nice pants. Get your wallet. And we're getting
some slacks.
Put on some slacks.
Slacks. Take your play pants off. Put on some nice slacks.
No play pants. Now you had to put on the good clothes. We're going out. So the limo pulls up right on cue. And my dad's like, what's going on? I go, we're going to go for a ride, Dad. Come on. And all of us got in.
If this story doesn't end with him face first in some Canadian titties, I'm going to be pissed. Where's this story going?
Well, everyone's a little bit uncomfortable at first, and you got to break some ice. So we stopped at that casino up there in Niagara Falls, Canada. They had a small casino. So we went there.
Good warm up. Got
to warm them up. We got a couple beers in the limo. I went and got some beers. So we're drinking some beers on the way. Everyone's real chill. And it's weird because nobody knows what the fuck's going on.
Titties.
Dude, it was great because think about it. I'm like 25 and everybody's 50. Okay, or 51 in the car. So, and it's a different age. 50 is a different age than what we are now. You know what I mean? Like it's a little different back then. So
yeah, your dad at 50 wasn't doing a podcast with his dumb friend.
No, absolutely not. So we're in the limo and we do the gambling thing, and everyone's feeling a little bit better, and everyone's warmed up. Now we're all chilling, making fun of each other. A couple guys won a few bucks, a couple guys lost a few bucks. These are all blue collar dudes. So we get in the limo and the driver goes, where to next, boys? And all you had was, and there's like 6 of us in this limo, and all you hear is, and a lot of hemming and hawing. I don't, it's all you heard. It's all you heard. And the limo driver just goes, we're fucking going to Canada. Let's go. We're going to go see some titties.
The limo driver said titties.
The limo driver said, let's go get some titties. And then boom.
Fucking right. Titties.
Shit. He turned up the radio and it was lit. So we go across the border and we're not hammered yet, right? We're feeling great on the way to and the limo driver's like, just chill out. It's cool. They know limos come over all the time. They're not so bad with limos. Just shut your mouths. When they ask you a question, only answer the question. Cool. Cruise right through. Boom. We're up in Canada for like 4 hours. We never left the strip club, man. It was awesome. Wild. I mean,
God, I never went to a strip joint. I never went to a strip joint with my dad.
It was weird. It was really fucking weird. I mean, it was great. I mean, nobody that I saw did anything too crazy because, I'm not going to talk about it anyway. But it was great. Dudes were doing shots. They were getting fucked up. All these.
Does your mom, hammered. I mean, before the story was told right now and she's listening to this eventually, did your mom know you guys went to the strip joint?
She's not stupid. She knew where we go. And before we left, she knew where we're going to go. We're not going to get a bunch of dudes in a limo and just go to go have dinner. So, we go, we have a great time. It's just titties everywhere. And then we're driving back. Okay. So I'm 25 and I'm liquored, right? My brother's hammered. These guys are all fucked up. And these guys don't get this fucked up really that much anymore. So they
hadn't partied like that in 20 years.
They are screaming. I mean, the whole don't stand out of the sunroof in the limo. They're all taking fucking turns. I mean, it's wild. So then we get on the bridge to come over to the United States, and the guys in the US are pricks. They know what you've been doing all night.
Yeah.
So one of the guys has got the windows down and he's yelling at girls in other cars. Hey, come on over to our limo, cruise over. Come on, party. We're having a party in our limo. And they're all like 26-year-old girls or 18-year-old girls. I'm like, holy fuck, what's going on? So we get to the fucking window and we had a female, and it was the worst possible scenario you could have. There's a female.
They were worse. You thought you were going to get a chick. She might be cool.
No,
they were worse.
They had to be worse though.
I feel like they had to be even a bigger hard ass.
Yeah. So we get up there and, they got all our licenses and they're looking at them. What have you guys been doing? And the limo driver's like, we went to a couple of clubs and stuff. He wasn't going to lie. If you lie, you're fucked in that situation. So we're all back there, and we're all like pinching each other's lips, so none of us says anything stupid. We're literally trying to keep all of us from saying some dumb shit, and we're just taking off. And the one guy goes, "Hey, what time you get off, man? The party's gonna keep going in our limo. We can pull over." Fucking idiot. We got through, but I was like, "Holy shit!" So then we're cruising down these country ass roads to get back to the home base. And everyone's wasted, right? Well, then I gotta throw up.
Yeah, you were a big barfer back in the day.
I could fucking hum. I could hum guts like crazy, right? So what do? I go, guys, I got a major problem right now. And we're doing 60 down, down this road. There's no stopping in time for me to open the door and fucking barf. So we had an empty, cardboard box of Miller Lights or whatever. So my uncle just goes, "Here, put your fucking head in this." And I start heaving into the Miller thing. And then they're yelling at the limo driver to slow down. He fucking slows down. They open the door. I'm laying on the floor of the limo, right? Like the back seat. So everyone's sitting along the back seat in the limo.
There's a long seat.
Big wide back seat, right? So I'm laying across. My head is out the door. Okay, one guy's holding the door open. My head's out the door. I'm barfing. A guy's got me by the belt. Another guy's got me by the collar. And I'm just fucking heads hanging out the side of the limo. We're doing like 30 miles an hour down the street.
And you're hurling.
I'm fucking barfing. I get home. I get out of the car. I fucking barf all over the backyard. My mom's like, "How'd it go?" And I'm like, She goes, "All right." Fucking dude, the Canadian border is brutal. But yeah, if you're gonna run a limo, which we've done, we did it, right? It was for one of your buddies' bachelor parties. We had the same fucking problem. Everybody barfed.
Yeah, like bachelor party palooza, something like that. It was Carp. It was my buddy Carp.
Right.
It's like I had the clipboard. I had 3 limos. I had everybody stationed. Like, everybody had their seats like at a wedding. I had all this stuff. I mean, I was organized, man.
Yeah.
And the one limo, they go over the train tracks and they got stuck. They couldn't move. It was so heavy. I put too many heavy guys in the one limo. They literally bottomed out over train tracks. They had to get out. Then I had to shuffle people, and we went up to Canada.
Fucked up.
Yeah, but I think we got kicked out of the first place because Butel got right up on stage and he just walked up on stage and started dancing with the girl. I'm like, no. A big, huge meat neck comes up and grabs him. He's like, "Listen, your boy does that again. You're out of here."
We're out of there.
My friend Mike walks into the strip joint as we're all walking in at that particular party, walks in, takes 3 steps up on stage and starts dancing with the feature.
That's not a good idea.
That's how fucked up we were on the way there.
Yeah.
It's like he walked up there like he was supposed to, like he was a part of the act.
It almost worked.
They're like, "Your friend goes up there one more time, we're going to have a problem."
Yeah, I remember being at the bar trying to buy beers. You're like, "We got to go. Don't even bother. We got to go." I'm like, "What the fuck just happened?"
Yeah, we're getting booed.
I remember that because the limos we used was a neighbor, and my dad knew him really well. And they've been in the neighborhood. They were friends for years and years and years. And I was able to get us the limos. I remember this. Holy shit. So my dad's buddy, who was our neighbor, and I knew the guy too. My dad said was, "Hey, don't fuck up, Bob's limos or whatever."
We didn't fuck up one limo. We fucked up 3 limos.
We fucked up all 3. We got one stuck. So that fucked up the undercarriage. And then and then the big thing was, don't anybody barf in the fucking car. Do not barf. I told the guy, I said, "Look, I'm going to do my best to keep these guys in line as much as I can." And we're driving down the fucking highway.
No chance.
Briggs is barfing. We didn't even know it. He's hanging out of the sunroof.
Well, we closed the sunroof on him, so he was stuck.
He couldn't. So he's barfing all down the back window. And
he's barfing the back, and then we're bag tagging him. He can't do anything about it.
The fucking dick. Yeah.
He's just throwing up.
And we get out of the car. He doesn't say anything. I get out of the car. I'm like, "Holy fuck, there's barf all over the trunk of the limo."
Yeah.
So I'm helping my guy, my dad's buddy. He's like, "It's all right." I
forgot you were involved.
Time. I'm like, "What the fuck did I do?" I felt so bad, dude. It was just.
I forgot you were involved in securing those limos.
I am never getting involved in limos again. I just won't. Plus, you know what? They're just fucking weird. They're just weird, dude.
They're still pretty great. They're still pretty great.
It's just weird. I don't want to know anything about them. I'll get in one, but I don't want to be involved in planning shit. Rod, we're gonna do our top 5 summer movies in a second. We gotta take a break. We gotta talk about our sponsors.
All right. We still have a great sponsor. Thank you to Pirates of the Quarter. Piratesofthequarter.com is the website. At Pirates of the Quarter. They're great on social media. Please follow. Please check them out and familiarize yourself with what they're doing, man. When you go to New Orleans, not if, when you go to New Orleans, and I need to book another trip really soon, man, book Pirates of the Quarter, book the walking tour, okay? It's fun. It's loaded with info. Check. There's no other tour like it in the French Quarter. Check. Grab a drink. You're walking the streets of the quarter, and you're hearing unbelievable stories of real pirates and their involvement in the history of New Orleans. These are real stories. This is like real history stuff, but it's not like boring. It's not like that at all because you're still partying, okay? We're talking about a lot of partying on this podcast today. You're walking around, you're partying, you're drinking, right? And then you're hearing all this great history of like where you're standing, things that happened right there. The tour is absolutely going to surprise you. You're going to just be talking about it as one of the best things that happened to you out of your entire trip to New Orleans. I promise you that. There's so much more to New Orleans than just Bourbon Street. Save a little time and discover pirate history of New Orleans. Details at piratesofthequarter.com, at Pirates of the Quarter. And we thank them for being a proud sponsor of the Play Pants podcast.
I don't know how proud they are, but they're a sponsor of the podcast.
Well, we won't let them leave. That's the problem. I mean, we just won't let them leave.
Well, that's the great thing about pirates. Once they show up, if it's going well, they ain't going anywhere. They're going to hang out for a while, man. So, Rod, summer movies, you know, we've talked about it a little bit on the podcast. You know, Top Gun, the new one. Did you see it yet?
No, I haven't. People are going to see it 2 and fucking 3 times. And I mean, I really haven't looked. I do look when I've looked, it's been on the weekends and there's just too many people booking. So I got to go during the week. It's just fuck.
It's hard. It's good. I'll go see it again for sure at the theater before it goes out because I like it.
Hard. It's really hard with a little kid to get to the movies.
Well, yeah, and then your fucked up leg. I mean, you got to sit down in the front row. There's nobody in front of you.
Yeah, I got a fucked up leg.
Oh, Jesus Christ. So anyway, it got me thinking about summertime, summer movies. And I'm like, man, there's so many fucking great movies that we've brought up in passing. Like a couple episodes ago, you were talking about your summer camp experience. We brought up the movie Meatballs.
Yeah.
Right? Bill Murray. Go look it up. It's funny. It's good. It's all about summer camp. It's cool. Right. And I was like, damn, that you watch that movie, it just feels like you're stuck in the middle of the summertime. It just says and screams summertime. Now it's an old movie. So I thought, what the hell? Let's go through some summertime movies that either are based on the summertime theme or just remind you of summertime. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Let me go first. Let me start the ball off.
Okay. You must feel like you got a pretty good list because I don't remember the last time you said, hey, I want to go first.
Well, I just want to go first. I think you went first last time. I'm trying to make it even. I don't know. I'm trying to keep it real.
So not necessarily, they don't have to be based in summer, but movies that make you think of summer, movies that have a summer vibe to them. Maybe you saw it in the summer, takes you back. Right. Okay. I'm on board. We have the same type of list here. I'm ready to go.
Yeah, it's weird. And plus, it just gives us more movies to watch over the weekend, over the summer. So number 5, Independence Day. Independence Day, that's Will Smith. That's when the aliens come down. They blow up the White House. Again, it is hot. Of course, we're in Southern California. It just felt like a summertime movie. I think it came out in the summer. It's based on the 4th of July. So I would assume it's a summertime theme.
Yeah, Will Smith used to own those weekends, man. When his movies came out, he used to be the guy. He was the box office guy on all the holiday weekends. So yeah, that definitely was a holiday weekend blockbuster movie for sure. It's a summer flick.
And you know what? I saw it recently. I don't know, the last 6 months, and still holds up. It's still pretty good.
Okay,
you know, it's not.
Bill Pullman is the president, I believe.
Yeah. Very, very cool movie. Number 4. This one's real easy. I don't have to get into it too much. Caddyshack. Caddyshack's a summertime movie. It doesn't get. You're at a golf course.
For sure, it is, man. Those kids, they're all
summer jobs.
It's a summer job, and that's what the Murray brothers, they wrote it about. You know, in the summer, they caddied on a golf course, and it was a summer job. So yeah, for sure, it's 100% a summer movie.
And it just feels really like, you know what? like when I remember watching it when I was much younger, I didn't see it in the theaters. That was not happening at that age. But I remember like watching it going, shit, I could caddy at a golf course. I didn't live far from a golf course. I'm like, that would be a cool job. But then I didn't live near a golf course that actually had caddies. You just were the guy picking up the balls and shit. So it wasn't very cool looking.
I knew nothing about golf or any, I was a million miles from a golf course. Let me ask you this, and I don't want to get too off track, but can Caddyshack, could you put it on a sports movie list?
Yeah. Why not? I mean, it's not exactly sports centric.
If you're doing all-time great sports movies, would you have a problem with that being on somebody's list? Caddyshack.
No, it's golf, and they actually have a competition.
So it's a sports movie.
I mean, if you consider golf a sport, then yes, I would.
Well, yeah, golf is obviously a sport, but it's not.
Yeah, it's not.
It's a sports movie, right?
I'd say so.
Yeah,
yeah, okay. Yeah, it is. It dives into the club scene, the golf club, the society side of it. But yeah, I'd say it is. It's definitely a summertime movie. Number 4, Caddyshack. Great movie, and haven't watched that one in a while. Number 3, this one isn't exactly totally in the summertime, although most of it is. Yeah, because it kind of goes through the year. Fast Times at Ridgemont High. That's a summertime movie. There's a lot. There's by the pool where Damone.
Well, it's the whole school year, and then the school is getting off.
But it's like it kind of goes through the whole year. But it just feels like summer because you feel like, okay, these are high school kids. And, when Spicoli and all those guys walk into the restaurant, they rip their shirts off and you got to wear a shirt in here. The sign says it, all that shit. Fast Times at Ridgemont High feels like a summer movie. It's not
no
totally
shirt, no shoes, no dice.
Right. But you know what I mean? Like it feels like a summertime movie. Maybe it came out in the summertime. Maybe I've always just watched it in the summertime. You know what I mean? I don't know. But it has that vibe to it,
Yeah, it does. I mean, it's one of my all-time favorite movies. It's an anytime movie for me, for sure. But I'll allow it. I'll allow it to be a summertime movie for sure.
Number 2, and I had some trouble whittling down 2 and 1. Number 2, I wanted to make it number 1. It doesn't matter. Who gives a shit? It's my list. The Bad News Bears, the original Bad News Bears.
Oh, good one.
There is no better. I mean,
that's such a good one.
That's a little kids playing baseball, fucking around, being
Kelly
assholes.
Leak. Is there anybody cooler than Kelly Leak?
Harley Davidson smoking a cigarette. I mean, come on.
I could not believe that those kids were allowed to swear. It was so cool watching those kids on screen swear. And I'm just like, Ma, they're swearing. This is awesome. And I mean, because we were not allowed to swear. I mean, that was huge. Mouth, soap. We did that in my house. And
no.
I just remember my mind being just fucking floored that little kids were swearing on screen. And it was awesome.
It was weird.
They drinking beer. Buttermaker gave them all beers at the end. It's like, what the hell? Not a sip. I always got a sip of my old man's beer. That was a big thing. Okay. If we jumped in the pool, if we did stuff, my dad, if he made a basket, here, you can have a sip of my beer. That was a constant thing. Like that was a big time summer thing in my house.
Right.
But when Buttermaker gave every kid their own beer, and they're pouring it over each other's heads and they were drinking it, it was awesome.
But it was weird because I remember thinking I could almost correlate many of those kids on that team to guys I knew at that age. You know what I mean? Like I had that one guy in the neighborhood who was a little bit Kelly Leak and scary, like you never knew where you stood with a guy. He had a little motorcycle. He was a bit unhinged. It was a little bit weird. You never really knew where you stood with him, and it was scary. I had that guy. I had the goofy little booger eater. You know what I mean? Like, you could recognize all these guys. And you know what I was going to talk about earlier? You were talking about how everybody had a hockey stick in their garage up north.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, remember, everybody could always go find a baseball mitt. Everybody had a baseball mitt.
Did you have a pitchback?
That's that net thing you could throw at it?
Yes.
Pitchback.
That's exactly what it is.
No,
it's the net.
I didn't play.
See, I played baseball and I was a pitcher, and the pitchback was everything. Holy shit, man. You could just be out there for hours by yourself. But you're right. I mean, baseball, everybody had a baseball mitt. There were baseballs around. Yeah, we played wiffle ball. We just played games all the time, all summer.
But I know there's kids that play baseball and there's travel ball and all that horse shit, but like does everybody just have a baseball mitt? It's like you just had baseball mitts. Everyone had a baseball mitt. It could be a big piece of shit that your uncle had that you got. I mean, today, do the kids have baseball mitts? You know what I mean? Like my kid doesn't have a baseball mitt.
Your kid does not have a baseball mitt.
No, he got 14 soccer. Hey, he plays soccer. He doesn't give a shit about baseball. He hates it.
Dude, field of dreams. Dad, have a catch? Go out there and fucking catch the ball with your kid. What's wrong with you?
I don't have a mitt.
Get a mitt, you idiot. Go get your kid and go play catch with him in the yard. Friend off. I'm going to quit this podcast. You don't play catch with your kid, you're out of here. I'm done with you. Shut it off. Shut it down.
We kicked the soccer ball around. We got the football.
Nope. You got to have a catch. Have a catch. You have to have a catch. You have to say that. And you have to throw a baseball into a mitt. And it's got to pay him. It's got to hit the leather. Pay him.
It's got to smack when it hits the pocket, man. You probably got 10 in your museum over there, dude. Send one my way, will you?
I can send you some mitts. I'll send you some mitts.
Send me a couple mitts, will you, dude? And number one,
Bad News Bears. I'm so pissed off because I didn't even think of that movie. I see why you wanted to go first, but fuck, that's a good one.
That is a good one. And then number one, I mean, yeah, this one still resonates with me, and I think everyone on earth who's ever watched this movie, Jaws. That nothing screams summer more than Jaws. And yeah,
we should have done a top 5 with not Jaws.
Well, then in that case, I got plenty more.
I mean, spoiler alert on my list.
Yeah, the Jaws. I mean, I still don't like getting like if I start getting it in my head, I'll look around before I jump in a dude's pool. Like I'll like if I start getting in my head a little too hard, and I know there's no fucking shark in your pool, but I'll open my eyes if I'm underwater for a quick second. Like if I start getting in my head a little too much.
No movie had a bigger impact on me as a child. I know that some people, when they saw Star Wars, they lost their shit and it changed their lives. We talked, I mean, I told you, I think we talked about it last week or the week before that, Smokey and the Bandit was a bigger deal for me than Star Wars, right. And I knew Star Wars was bigger because there wasn't Smokey and the Bandit cups at Burger King, it was Star Wars. Right. There wasn't Smokey and the Bandit toys. There was, but not like I knew Star Wars was bigger, but Jaws, no movie, maybe in my entire life, I don't think any movie, just because I was 5. And I don't know what the sweet spot of that was, but for my psycho parents to take me to Jaws as a 5-year-old, I told you, my dad took me and I pissed 13, 14 times in the movie. He was so mad. He missed most of it. Every time, Dad, I got to pee. I mean, I was so scared, but I loved it though. I was scared, but I loved it. It just, it was just a feeling it was the first time I had experienced that.
It was so scary the way the tension built. And now like, I'll go to like Florida, Pensacola and shit. I'll paddleboard and there'll be small sharks around once in a while. And I've gone places and dove and swam and snorkeled with different sharks and shit. I
am noping the fuck out of that. And still,
it wasn't easy to get out of the boat, but once you get down there and you get your shit together, you're like, oh, this is pretty beautiful down here. But yeah, no, Jaws still got me a little bit weirded out. And it's been it's like the 47-year anniversary this week of when Jaws came out. 47 fucking years, man. Holy shit. And people are still afraid of sharks for good reason.
And I just saw, I had always kind of hung on to that fact that Roy Scheider improvised that line, we're going to need a bigger boat. And they just debunked that this week. Like it just came out like, no, he never, that was in the script. I'm like, why? Why did we all think that he came up with that line on his own? It's because it's one of the best lines in all. I mean, it's one of the most quotable lines in all of cinema. And I've always given that guy credit for coming up with that on the spot. And apparently it was in the script.
It's funny how the stories get told. From what I read, it was like the boats they had for production for like dragging the mechanical shark around and just getting the cameras and shit. All their boats were too small. Like whoever figured out the boats they needed, they were all too small. And everyone kept saying, we're going to need a bigger boat. Right. So that was like a phrase being thrown around out while they were filming and shit. So I don't know if it was they put it in the script afterwards. Who the fuck knows? But yeah, I thought that was crazy because I had always heard the same thing that he made that shit up.
Yeah.
On the spot.
I saw that movie in the theater, man. It was awesome. It was unbelievable, even though I missed most of it.
You know what?
Dad, I got to pee. Come on. Jesus Christ, this kid. I remember walking in and my mom took my sister because my dumb brother was 3 when it came out. So one of the parents had to be there. So my mom took my sister. They went first. And then my dad took me. And then I remember walking in. And then my dad walked in. It's like, Jesus Christ, this kid pissed 13 times. I didn't even see the movie. He was pissed. He was so mad. Dad, I got to go to the bathroom. You just went. Dad, I got to go. Hurry up. The shark's coming. I got to go pee.
Oh, shit. Yeah. No. So Jaws, number 1, great summer movie. I got a couple others, but we can talk about that after your top 5 favorite summer influenced movies.
I love Your Bad News Bears.
God, I have to watch. I've seen that so many times. I love that movie.
Yeah, the remake too with Billy Bob was pretty good.
It wasn't bad. It wasn't bad. It was good. He was a great buttermaker. But Walter Matthau was fucking clutch. That whole 70s feeling to the whole thing. It's got it all. It's got it all.
I struggled with Fast Times, and I thought, man, that's the whole school year is a summer. But you said, just the summer vibe. So I kind of, here's where I went. In at number 5, I went Sandlot.
Yeah, great.
I love the Sandlot, and that truly is, it's kids playing summer baseball and, organized and playing against other teams. And it's just a great movie. It just really is a super great movie. And that's a sports movie, right? The Sandlot's a sports movie.
You're playing ball,
right?
Yeah, I think so. Totally.
And there's the whole Babe Ruth angle with the ball and everything. It's a sports movie. And then Benny the Jet, he becomes a pro ball player. Sandlot 93, in at number 5. Number 4, Ferris Bueller's Day Off, because it feels like it's the end of the school year.
Yeah, I had that. Yeah.
It feels like it's the end of the school year. And man, who was cooler than Ferris Bueller? How everything worked out for him.
Yeah.
It was the coolest. It was a different kind of cool, like, because Spicoli was the coolest, right? But he was a stoner. Right. And he was just cool because he was a surfer and he had long hair. But Ferris Bueller was a different kind of cool. He was a smart cool.
He was a nerd cool.
He was the complete opposite of Spicoli. And there was just something so appealing about him, how it worked out. And it's just, he had everybody fucking conned. Everybody was conned, save Ferris, Oh,
yeah.
And his sister hated it. And that damn principal hated it. It was so good. We just did a fun fact today on the show. Ferris Bueller's parents on the movie parents met on the set, married in real life.
No.
Yeah. If you remember what Ferris Bueller's dad looked like, and the mom had the spiky hair.
Yeah.
And the dad was kind of a good looking fella. He was in the car next to him when him and the girlfriend were in the car. He was leaving a business meeting. So the dad and the mom, they married, and then they were parents in another movie. And then they ended up getting a divorce, but they met on the set of Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
That is weird.
Ferris Bueller, 96, my number 4. My number 3, Dazed and Confused, bitch.
Oh, how did I miss that one? All right, I gotta fix my list.
Right after I saw your list, I'm like, okay, so that's the Bad News Bears. Dazed and Confused.
Last day of school, man.
Bro, come on, dude. How could you be so fucking minor league about this?
I don't have a mitt.
You know how great that movie is.
I blew. All right, man.
You know how great Dazed and Confused is, dude. I mean, there's nothing else that needs to be said about it. Last day of school, man. And then what are you going to do all summer? The whole deal.
Yeah. You're right. I missed it. Yeah, like, I want to go drink some kegs at the Moon Tower right now, dude. Like, I really want to just go do that. Like, that movie is so fucking great. Shag.
I do remember.
Because we used to do that shit out in the field. Somebody get a keg and be out in the middle of nowhere.
We would do that shit out in the fields. I remember being blown away by seniors spanking younger kids, man. We didn't do that up north. Like, that wasn't a thing. And I ask people here, because, that movie it's Austin, right?
Right. Yeah.
And I asked people here, and they're like, no, that didn't happen here either. So
that's fucked up. Is what that is.
Just that one just Austin was the only place where seniors spanked the shit out of freshmen, incoming freshmen. It was weird. It just did not happen.
It was creepy. It was, and Ben Affleck, creepy. Just
Oh,
a
yeah.
fucking weirdo in that movie, man. But what a great that screams summer. Because man, by the end of the movie, you just want to fucking jump in a car and go drive across Texas and go get Aerosmith tickets. Like you want to get in that car. That's how great it is.
With Foghat Slow Ride playing, right? Great soundtrack. I mean, classic rock. You know, you lived in that space for all those years, but man, every song works so well when they use it in that movie. You know, it's iconic.
I had heard and I may have this wrong, but I'd heard the budget for the music was actually higher or almost equal to the fucking movie.
True. Yeah.
The rights to those songs.
It was more than what they spent. Yeah. Richard Linklater.
It wouldn't
Richard Linklater.
Yeah.
He made kind of a part 2. Did you ever see Everybody Wants Some?
I did. It just was okay. It's
a little bit of a letdown.
Yeah.
Because I was led to believe that it was a continuation, none of the same characters or anything, but it still kind of took place a long time ago. It kind of deals with a baseball player and, you know, stoners. And I thought it was going to be much better. It was a really big letdown. It came out 2016, 2015, not that long ago.
No, I remember watching it going, okay. Yeah, that's it for that. I'm not seeing that one again. Yeah.
All right. Dazed and Confused in at number 3. In at number 2, you said it. Meatballs. Bill Murray was just my favorite guy. It was my sister's favorite guy. We just loved Meatballs. We loved Meatballs. We loved Stripes. Anything Bill Murray was just amazing to us. The movie Meatballs is summer. It's fucking summer. It's summer camp. I'll mention another movie after we get through with our top 5, but there's another movie that's kind of like a throwback to the summer camp thing, which I thought was good. But in my number 1 was Jaws.
Yeah.
Like again, we could have done best summer movies that aren't named Jaws, and we could have each got an extra one in there.
Okay, then take your extra. Skip Jaws. Jaws is obvious. That's too easy.
Okay.
Throw in your next one. What would be your 5.8 or whatever? 0.1.
American Graffiti.
I was gonna put that in, but like it's such an old fucking movie. Like I didn't think anybody saw it. I love that movie. I've seen it 100 times. I love that movie.
It's Steven Spielberg, right?
It is George Lucas who wrote it. That's pre-Star Wars George Lucas. He made that movie. That's Ron Howard. Right. Pre-Happy Days shit. That's
Richard Dreyfuss, Harrison Ford.
It's so fucking awesome.
Wolfman Jack is on the radio and they're cruising around and
racing cars and doing dumb shit.
It's an awesome movie. Now, have I seen it in a long time? Not really, but it would still be great, right?
Well, if you take and think about it this way, Dazed and Confused, the way the music worked in that was brilliant. If you take American Graffiti, they're using music from the 50s because it's a movie that was made in the late 60s or like 69, 70, I think, or 71, something like that. But it's
American Graffiti is 70s for sure.
Right. But it's based on the 50s, the late 50s. So it's a lot of that doo-wop and shit. But the music works so fucking well because everyone is in their cars mostly cruising around doing dumb shit because that's what you did back then. You drove around up and down the streets of California in your badass rides. And the radio's on. And that's why back when that's all you had, there was like 4 stations and Wolfman Jack was the coolest out of Southern California. Yep. So everyone is listening to him. So it was on every radio. So every time they're in a car, there's a song playing. It's Beach Boys. It's, I forget what all is in it, but the music is just constantly flowing. And you hear Wolfman Jack coming on and he's saying all this cool old style boss jock type shit.
1973.
Fucking awesome.
1973. So American Graffiti, if we're doing a list, because we know Jaws is going to be number 1, then that was the one that I wanted to kind of sneak in. The one that I wanted to mention, did you see Wet Hot American Summer?
No, I didn't. I didn't know if that was a porno or what.
So, I used to love on MTV. I love that cast of characters. There was a show called The State.
Oh, so good.
And I thought they were so ahead of their time. And it's that group of people, but then like Paul Rudd was involved, and I want to say early Bradley Cooper, and it's a spoof on like Meatballs and that era of camp movie, and it's really good, man. It's really, really good. Wet Hot American Summer is a really good kind of a silly. If you liked, I know you like the guys from The State because a lot of them went on to go. I never watched that show. What was the Reno 911? I never watched it.
I did.
And it had a lot of those people in it. And I didn't support it.
The state was so ahead of it. It blew anything else, sketch comedy, away. It just blew it all away. It was so
great. I'm glad you mentioned
funny.
that because fucking Alex has my box set. Very good. So no Jaws on your list. What was number 6 on your list that would make it number 5 if we omitted Jaws?
I didn't have Meatballs, but I have Meatballs on a list. It didn't make my top 5. So Meatballs would go in there because that screams, summertime. And you know what movie also kind of says summertime is the original Vacation movie.
Yep, I had Vacation written down. The original
trip.
Vacation.
He shares a beer after they smash the station wagon, after they smash the family trucks. They're sitting there out in the desert and they share the beer and the kid drinks it. I'm like, whoa.
He drank the whole thing.
Beer with the whole thing. Holy shit. Definitely a summer movie.
Russ, right here, Dad. Oh,
right here,
okay.
Dad.
He's like right beneath him. Good talk, Russ. I use that line all the time. Good talk, Russ. When somebody's not paying attention to me, nobody knows what I'm saying. At the radio station, these kids don't know. I'm like, good talk, Russ. They're like,
what the fuck is Russ?
What's the old man? The old man lost it.
I don't remember, I saw this movie once a long time ago, so I don't really remember it. So it should stand up as a summer movie, but Stand By Me, I think, was a summer movie.
Love it.
The Goonies.
Goonies is a summer movie.
Summer movie, obviously, that feels the summer. It just didn't stand up to whatever my stupid test was. I don't
Stand By Me is awesome. It is awesome. It's a great movie, great music in it.
Yeah.
River Phoenix is in the movie. So that guy only made a handful of movies, before he offed. I put down, so John Candy, there's The Great Outdoors. And then there's another one that's lesser known, but I know everybody knows Uncle Buck. But if you want a John Candy movie that's not trains, planes, and automobiles, Summer Rental.
Yes.
Summer Rental is awesome. Okay. Like he's trying to become a seaman and he wants to become, that's where he eats the old 96er, I believe, or maybe that was The Great Outdoors.
Maybe
I can't remember where he eats steak. One of those two.
Steak.
That might've been The Great Outdoors. But Summer Rental is a really good John Candy movie. It's a silly summer movie. That was on my bubbling under, and Summer School.
So I just had Summer School. Yeah. I had that. That was a great movie. I love Summer School.
Summer School is a really good movie. And these kids, they're all kind of flunkies, but it's the two horror fans. One of them was named Chainsaw, and I forgot the other one's name. But that movie, Mark Harmon is the surfer kind of guy that he gets strapped with teaching these kids a summer school. And Summer School is a really, really good movie.
It is. I had that on my list as well. There's a lot of them. That's why I wanted to do this fucking list, man. I love all these movies. I didn't go watch the John Travolta movies yet from last week, so I'm a little behind on my homework, Rod. So watching movies it's time consuming, dude.
Well, at least you're getting to the theater to see some of the newer movies.
Oh, Top Gun, dude. I can't out. Is Elvis out this weekend or is that next weekend?
Know.
I don't know.
We're doing a big push for it, so I think it is this weekend.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing that. I can't wait. You know what's going to be cool? Because my mom is a huge Elvis fan. She had all the albums or most of them back in the day on vinyl. God, I wish she still had them because they'd be worth a ton of money. I can't wait to see it, have her see it, and then talk some Elvis. Because she grew up with it all. She was there. It'd be cool to go and talk to moms and grandparents about the Elvis movie and be like, hey, did you know that about Elvis? Because I can't remember if my parents saw Elvis or not. It's shit. I don't know if they ever got to see Elvis live. It seems
he played the Niagara Falls Convention Center. My mom's friend went to go, and for some reason my mom couldn't go, and she's still pissed about it.
Yeah.
But he played the Niagara Falls Convention Center. I don't know if he ever played the Odd in Buffalo. He played the Rodeo here in Houston. He played the Rodeo, dude. Yes. Fucking Elvis, the Rodeo.
Oh, speaking of Elvis, dude, we took a fucking bunch of listeners one time years ago up to Memphis, right? To go to it's when the Houston Oilers moved up to fucking Tennessee or some shit.
But they played in Memphis for the first 2 years or something like that to get the stadium before the stadium was ready.
There was a preseason football game between the New Houston or, the Tennessee, whatever the fuck it was, Tennessee Oilers, I guess. That was really weird. And then the Saints were playing a preseason game, and you and I went up there with a bus full of fucking listeners. But anyway, we ended up going to Graceland. Remember that?
Yeah,
we were drunk as shit running around there, and fucking brutal. It was great. What a great trip, though, man. Yeah, going to Graceland. Everyone's there like this is their greatest moment if you're an Elvis fan, to walk around and see all this shit. And we got, back in the day, they gave you a cassette, so everyone's got headphones. Right?
That's how long ago we went.
It was a long time ago. So
it's supposed to be in the jungle room right now, and it's like they're talking about something else. We were like so off track and everything.
We're all hammered. We're all standing in a circle. What fucking room are you in? I don't know. What fucking? And we're all swearing. And then it was Major Tom who was with us. He was a promotions director at the time. He pulls off his thing. He goes, "This place is a fucking dump."
Yes.
It kind of
people were offended. And then at the very end of Graceland, where apparently Elvis is buried back there. I don't know, but it's a little somber. There's some old ladies crying and shit. Mm-hmm. And we are just completely annihilated, drunk and kind of ruining, who knows how far people traveled to be there. And then 4 or 5 drunken idiots the group that we were in, probably ruined it for them.
Oh, God damn. That's so messed up. Wow. I want to apologize right now to the people we pissed off being drunk assholes at the Graceland back in the day. I'm sure we're not the first ones. So anyway, Rod, any final thoughts tonight? Wrap this thing up.
I will wrap it up, and I'll grab a picture and I'll post it. Because Elvis does open up this weekend. My Uncle Stan went into the Army at the same time that Elvis went into the Army.
No.
They're right around the same age. My Uncle Stan, stationed in Germany with Elvis. Same base.
What?
Okay. Same fucking base. Now, Uncle Stan's still around. He's still crusty as fuck. And if you bring up Elvis, he'll say, "That son of a bitch never pulled any night watch. That son of a bitch never peeled one potato." Okay.
Wow.
To this day, you bring up Elvis, Germany, Elvis, Army, you're going to hear that son of a bitch didn't peel one potato. Okay.
Jesus, that's
apparently my Uncle Stan had to peel some potatoes and pulled some night watch and some KP, kitchen patrol.
Okay.
So my grandfather, who I've talked about on this show, blind, goes over to see his son, which is my Uncle Stan. They go to a bar, and my grandfather is sitting there with his brother, which is one of my crazy great uncles or something. There was 13 boys, so I never met any of these characters. But there's my grandfather and this, I guess, uncle of mine is sitting at a table. Elvis walked into the bar, saw my grandfather was blind, and walked right over to that table. My grandfather had a beer with Elvis, and because of how we live today, well, if there's no fucking picture, it never happened. Instamatic, I have a picture of my grandfather sitting at a table in a bar in Germany with Elvis. It's an Instamatic, dude. Elvis flips it over, signs the back. I've got the picture.
Holy Christmas. See, you should open a museum.
So there's Sparky, my grandfather. There's Sparky sitting right there with a young Elvis in Germany.
Holy shit.
And Elvis signed the back. And if and I've looked at it, I'm like, man, Mom, did you sign this thing? And I looked up Elvis's autograph. I got no way of authenticating it. I've never taken it anywhere. What am I going to do with it? I'm never going to sell it.
No.
And I looked up Elvis's autograph and what it looked like. That's his signature on the back of this picture.
It's
him.
That picture's been in your family for a while. I'm pretty sure that your grandfather wasn't going to make that shit up. Back then, you just didn't think of it that way, did you?
It would be great to tell that story and then just say, okay, but yeah, my grandfather was a fucking drunk, man. He would have told that story and made it up. But there's a picture of it. Yeah. So it happened. It absolutely happened. This picture's in terrible shape. You remember show and tell when you were a little kid?
Oh, yeah.
And you would bring in something from home and you would go up and you would show everybody. And I begged my mom forever. I'm like, let me bring the Elvis picture. And Mom was like, no. Now, do you think that thing's ever been in a frame?
No.
The whole time that this picture's been in existence since the 50s, dude. Since the 50s, it's been wrapped in saran wrap. Okay. Saran wrap on this picture. So I brought it in for show and tell one time. And my mom said, don't pass it around. If you remember show and tell, you would bring your item up and then you'd give it to the desk and then everybody would look at it and you would pass it desk to desk to desk. My mom said, do not pass this around. Well, sure as shit, I passed that picture around. So everybody's little mealy hands are all over it and everything else. So the picture's like in bad shape, but I have it. And I'm the one that finally put it behind a piece of glass. It was in saran wrap since the 50s.
That's nuts.
It was never in a frame. It's a small little picture. It's a small little Instamatic photograph. I'll put it up on our socials this week.
That's awesome. That's very, very cool. Geez. See, now I really want to go see this damn Elvis movie. I can't wait. My final thought, Rod, is that I just want to make sure everybody knows that the Rod Ryan Show has reopened the Rod Ryan Show Cares online store for summertime. Yeah, baby. Raising money to purchase backpacks for local children in need. Just go to the RodRyanShowCares.com. See all the new summer t-shirts. I'm seeing them on the socials. I've checked out the website. Very cool stuff this year, man. They got the koozies, the shirts, the water bottle, and an all-new bandana to pull your hair back like me and Rod do. And for the first time, a tote. There's a tote. Safe, secure shopping. Their goal is to pass out 4,000 backpacks filled with age-appropriate school supplies in early August. So that means Rod's got to raise some serious bread, over $80,000. Please help. If you can, you can go to the website, buy some cool gear, or you can just donate cash right on the store's front page. Thanks to BMP Brand Management Professionals for hosting the site and doing all the printing, and their partners, Houston Children's Charity. You can shop right now, the RodRyanShowCares.com. I will put those links wherever you get this podcast, Rod. I think that's still awesome. And you know, I thought I worked that in real slick, like, you know, I didn't know after the break bullshit, no goofy radio stuff, just right on, baby. We did it.
Nicely done.
I am going to be out of town, so this might be a minute before we do another podcast. So
okay,
go back and listen to all the old ones. Get caught up. When I come back, I guarantee I'll have shit to talk about.
All right, guys. Thank you for listening. Follow on social at PlayPantsPod. And go Elvis, still the king.
Let's go. It's time. Put on play pants.
Find us wherever you listen to podcasts. See us on our YouTube channel and follow our social media pages at PlayPantsPod.